Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Nice to see everybody this morning.
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 Good
Hiya.
morning. Morning.
I hope everyone's well today and is looking forward to the day ahead of the conference, of all the sessions that we've got today. And as many of you as possible were able to see the fantastic Tommy Jessup yesterday. I think we'll all agree how fantastic he was and inspiring to us all. And hopefully the conference will continue in the same vein. So the session today is called Celebrating 50 Years and Preparing for the Next 50. And in the next hour, let me just move on. We'll be looking back at some of Advance's key milestones, just a few because there have been a lot. We're going to look at a case study and hear from a customer on how one of the milestones has positively impacted their lives. And we're going to look to the future as an organisation and consider what tools we have to continue the success of the past. For those of you who haven't met me before, my name's Katie Kearney and I manage the Learning and Talent team in Advance. This is a relaxed session and I'd welcome input or questions as we go along. I can't see necessarily the questions that are coming up or the comments, but my colleague Alex is on the call, so she'll be keeping an eye out if you raise your hand or you want to ask a question, she'll be watching out for those. So to kick us all off this morning and to warm everybody up, and you should know the answer if you listened closely to Julie's session yesterday afternoon. And some people know this, I know that for sure, but I didn't know it until recently. Did you know that Advance wasn't always called Advance? And does anyone know what the organisation was called when it was founded? Feel free to take yourself off mute or comment in the chat box.
Was it Guideposts? Unexpected Guideposts?
Yeah, well done. Who was that answered
Justine.
that? Oh, well done. Great. So, how have things changed in the last 50 years? I've done a bit of research on what the world looked like in the 1970s when Guideposts, or Advance as it later became known, first started, and I think it's fair to say the world looked a bit different back then. Can anyone hazard a guess as to when the internet first came into organisations as a sort of a normal thing?
About 1995, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that was a good guess.
So following the first secure internet transaction, it wasn't until 1995 that the internet was starting to be more commonly used in organisations. And I just can't get my head around that, really, that the organisation went from 1974 to 1995 without the internet. Things have changed dramatically over the last 50 years. So how has the care for people with learning disabilities and mental health needs changed in the last 50 years? This is a quote from the Royal College of Nursing History Archives. The idea of segregating people with learning disabilities from society is an unpleasant one. It was based on a false science which persisted from the Victorian era right up until the 1950s. This ideology was rooted in the eugenics movement, which determined that all those who didn't quite fit into society, who perhaps existed in marginalised groups, should be ostracised. For decades, people with learning disabilities were separated from society, discouraged from mixing with their peers, and prevented from having families of their own. The origins of these asylums are unsavoury, unpleasant, and inhumane. This is a quote from the Advance website today. And I think you'll all agree the stark difference in the support that was being offered before 1974 to where it is today. We provide a wide range of support services. The type of support we provide will be personal to you. Some of our customers have support all the time. Some people have a few hours of support every week. We can support you in your own home, in a residential care setting, or in the community. All of our customers have different support needs, but together we will identify your support needs and look at ways we can help you achieve your aspirations and goals. And there's just a few points there about some of the ways we support people, and it's by no means exhausted, but we help people with their finances and budgeting, developing independent life skills. We support them to partake in meaningful activities, maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and improving and maintaining physical and mental health, again, as well as amongst many other things that our staff do for the customers of Advance. So, how has Advance over the last 50 years taken itself from a time when support for people with learning disabilities and mental health needs was so poor to where it is today? And in front of you, you'll see just some of the highlights of Advance's journey to now. So Guidepost was founded on the 4th of May 1974, established as a charitable registered housing association. In 1993, Guidepost became Advance, and in 1995, the first Advance community support scheme opened in Leicester. In 1998, the first Advance Sold, now known as Hold, scheme opens in Wantage. In 1999, Advance wins a National Housing Award. And in 2004, Advance now supports 1,200 people across the country. In 2008, we win a floating contract in Warwickshire. And in 2010, Advance is now supporting more than 3,000 people. In 2007, members of our team visit the House of Commons to promote disability rights with Lord Laming. And between 2015 and 2019, Advance scooped a number of awards, including Best Supporting Housing, Best Supported Living Provider, and Most Innovative Home Ownership Solution. Of course, then we had the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, and today, Advance turns 50. This isn't the whole timeline. These are just key snippets of some of the key points I wanted to highlight today. But what we can see is a combination of expanding and growing the organisation through new contracts, being sector leaders in initiatives such as Hold, increasing the number of customers that receive our support, campaigning for the cause our organisation is so focused on, and scooping numerous awards, has brought us to where we are today. And Advance has not only grown itself and driven itself to where it is today from 1974, but it has also hugely influenced the sector to become what it is today. I've been fortunate enough to be able to meet and work with some of the customers at Advance already. And I'd like to look in more detail and showcase to you one of the areas we work on at Advance, which began in 1998 when Advance introduced Sold, or Hold as it is now called. And here's another quick question. Does anyone know what Hold stands for?
Home ownership learning disability.
Close. Yeah. Anyone else want to have a guess?
It's home ownership for
Housing
people with
options for
long-term
learning
disabilities.
Absolutely. Home ownership for people with long-term disabilities. So it was clear at the time that people with learning disabilities or those requiring support with their mental health were being disadvantaged and discriminated against when trying to find a property of their own to buy. At the time, Advance's CEO, Stuart Rigg, was passionate about this, and in 1996, funding opportunities arose to start the Sold project, which later became known as Hold, or Home Ownership for People with Long-Term Disabilities. The Innovation and Good Practice Grant allowed Advance to commission and publish 2 reports looking at the possibilities and barriers to overcome how people could get a mortgage and buy their own homes. In 1998, the Hold scheme was launched to Advance customers. Abbey National was the lender at the time. In the first year, there were 10 homes delivered using grant money and deposits paid for by Advance. This increased to the height of 100 per year in 2007 before the global recession. After the 2008 and 2010 recession, delivery dropped down to between 25 and 50 per year, and in 2010, Advance wasn't able to provide any new home ownerships because people couldn't get a mortgage. Advance are the only nationally recognised organisation to do hold in the purest sense. Other organisations will provide new properties and resales, but no other housing association supports people to choose their own home in the area that they want to live. Other organisations have also attempted to provide hold but haven't kept going. Today, Advance supports approximately 45 to 50 new shared home ownerships per year, with an aim to increase that to 60. Last week, I met with Esme, one of our hold customers, and we had a conversation about what owning her own home means to her. Esme was happy for us to record the conversation so I could share it with you today. Just bear with me while I get the recording up. Right then.
Well, yeah.
And how did it feel when you found? Welcome to our conversation today. Thank you very much for helping us. As you're aware, we're going to have a conversation today about you being a hold customer with Advance. In this session today, we're talking about changes, big changes that Advance has been through in the last 50 years. And one of the biggest changes that we've been through is the introduction of hold into the organisation, where customers are able to buy their own homes. And you're a hold customer, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
So
Yeah.
great, thanks for helping us today. So my first question, Esme, is how long have you been a hold customer with Advance?
In total, I've been a hold customer for 2.5 years now.
Right. And you're based near Leicester, aren't you?
I am, yeah, just between Leicester and Loughborough. Yeah.
And how did it feel when you found out you were getting your own home?
It felt a bit surreal, but I was amazed and nervous at the same time, because it's a big change for me from living at home to then having my own place. But it was a lovely feeling, really lovely feeling. Once it all sunk in, it was like, okay, yeah, let's do this.
Oh, great. And what does owning your own home give you? What's the best part about it?
It gives me a feeling of calm and safety, and pride in the skills that I've been able to build and gain, that has led me to being able to have my own house. So it also gives me a place to grow and develop my skills, as well as develop new ones in an environment that I don't feel any pressure to continuously build on them. Like I can just take time out if I need to, if I get too overwhelmed or too anxious in whatever way.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. And what's your favourite room in the house and why? Were you able to, when you moved in, were you able to put your own stamp on the house and, you know, put in your own furnishings and sort of give it a splash
Yeah.
of Esme.
Definitely a fast best me. My favourite room in my whole house is my craft room,
Oh,
which is where
okay.
I am now. But I also tend to call it my office because I can relax and do my Lego Harry Potter Legos,
Yeah.
as well as some colouring and painting, as well as learn and develop new artistic skills. So
Right.
and I have an Alexa as well, so I'm able to listen to some music while I'm doing it, and just lose myself into my crafts.
Lovely. That sounds such a nice room and a nice environment to just be able to
It
relax and be creative in.
Yeah, it's a really lovely room, and my house is south facing, so when the sun's out, it's really nice and warm, and I'm surrounded by, I do call it my Esme stamps. Even the clock that I have in my craft room is one that I've designed. Well, not designed, but I've coloured in myself. It's I've one of those ones where you can stitch colours into the
Oh, yeah.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done some embroidery on that and done some stitches.
Oh,
Made
lovely.
it into doing my own colours on that.
So you've really been able to personalize
Yeah,
your surroundings in your house to make it
yeah,
feel like your home.
definitely. So I have rented a house before, but with renting you only have so much leeway with places, and
Mhm.
I wasn't able to fully express my creativity in that house. Whereas in this house, I have got loads of free reign. I sometimes have to be reined in with my skills, what I can do. It's that fine line.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you, Esme, for telling us about how important owning your own home is to you. And I'm sure everyone who gets to see this video will really appreciate your feedback on, you know, how important the work we do is on, you know, the lives of our customers.
Yeah,
And I know that you've got a family wedding next week, haven't you?
I have, yeah.
And I want to wish you all the very best for that. And I'm sure we'll see you and we'll speak to you soon, Esme.
No problem at all. And I would look forward to our next talk.
Thank you.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye-bye.
I think you'll all agree that Esme was fantastic in that video. And needless to say, we had a long conversation after we stopped the video about her Harry Potter Lego and her sister's wedding that's coming up, I think this week. And I've arranged a call with Esme in a few weeks' time to let her know how today's gone and to hear all about her sister's wedding. And she was maid of honour at her sister's wedding, so she's very excited about that coming up. So hopefully Esme's story has been able to highlight not only how great our hold scheme is, but just highlights how important everything we do is for our customers and how it makes such an important impact on their lives, similar to what Tommy was saying yesterday, in the sense that we need to help people with disabilities find their passions and help them to access them and enjoy them like they should do, like you or I can. Can everyone see my slides as normal?
Yeah.
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 Great. So, looking forward then to the next 50 years. We've looked back at the fantastic things Advance has achieved in the last 50 years, or just some of them, but how can we prepare for the next 50 years? Does anyone want to hazard a guess into what we could face as a sector or as a country or in the next 50 years? Feel free to pop stuff in the chat box or call them out. Alex, you might need to keep an eye on the chat box for this one. Does anyone think or have any ideas on what we need to prepare for in the next 50 years? I've had a little bit of a guess, but if anyone's got any ideas, I'd love to hear them.
Got changes in regulation.
Yep, changes in regulation. Oh, Kat's got her hand up.
Changes in funding from the
Yes.
local authorities. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And
In the
increases
chat.
in costs like living wage, which is bound to go up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Changing staffing.
I didn't hear.
Changing staff, like staff, changing staffing, like the old staff going and new staff coming in.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Got lots in the chat. Amanda says financial constraints. Heather's put about another recession. Jacqueline, economy challenges. Sarah, AI and technology.
Yeah,
Just in more automation in services, which could be difficult for customers to keep up with. People living longer from Abby.
yes.
Heather, again, we've got issues around sponsorship. More companies could offer. It could be difficult to gain staff. Gus, we've got better understanding from governments as to what social care is. Cool, they're coming in. From
That'd be good,
Julie,
wouldn't it?
increasing expectations.
Great, thank you. So I think you've done better than I have. So when I was preparing for this session, I thought about increased utilisation of AI in everything we do. We're not going to get away from AI. You know, the continuation of AI in the workplace is going to happen, and we need to embrace it. More personalised healthcare, I read, we will be looking at in the future, which is great, but also will come at a cost. And a staffing need. We will need to be more sustainable, both as an organisation and a sector and worldwide. Apparently, we'll have homes that can run themselves with the development of smart utilities. We'll have homes that will detect when the temperature drops, and then it'll all just turn itself on. I mean, it does it a bit now, but it won't need us to turn up the thermostat or anything like that. And obviously, we'll also have changes in government and legislation. And we also need to acknowledge the some of the changes that we can't necessarily prepare for, which we've all been through with the pandemic. So it's about thinking about some of those as well. So I was having a think about how, as an organisation, we can prepare for the next 50 years, both in our near future as we deliver our strategy, but also in preparation for the next half century. And one of the ways I believe we can move forward into the future successfully, as we have, is by always referring back to our vision and pride values. We have a fantastic set of values which are embedded throughout the organisation, and we'll hear on Thursday more about the Pride winners this year in one of the closing sessions. What our values give us is a clearly defined organisational values that help us with decisions with the company's mission and values. Explicit values improve internal communication, brand and employee engagement, and strong organisational values attract talented employees and contribute to long-term business success. I would like to ask you all, and again, to put in the chat box or to shout out, how do you demonstrate the pride values in your everyday life at work? Because we all think about teams that help us and other people that help us, and we nominate them for Pride Awards. But let's just take a moment to reflect and to think about how we embed the pride values in the work we do on a day-to-day basis. So if you could pop your thoughts into the chat box, and perhaps Alex can read some of them out for us.
Oh, so we've got one here from Catherine. Working in collaboration with customers and their circle of support to design care that works for them.
Lovely.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yeah, I think it's quite hard, isn't it, to reflect on how we naturally use the values in our day-to-day work and how we liaise with other people and conduct projects or hold meetings and with the values. And when I think about, for example, when you hold a meeting, you want to make it as efficient as possible, don't you? So you have your agenda and you stick to your agenda and you stick to your timeframes, and then you have your actions. And that's how we work efficiently, which is one of the Pride values in terms of how we manage meetings.
Got some more coming in, Katie. So from Heather, inclusion, looking for work placements for our customers, being present in society. Sarah's put working in partnership with customers to deliver induction training.
Yes, yep.
And Ife's popped in the chat, creating a sense of belonging to customers and staff. And from Julie, we've got showing respect to customers and colleagues, being inclusive.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things we've done recently in our team is a colleague and I went to Abingdon and Whitney College, and we supported them with some they were doing a Dragon's Den style day with some of their students that had not long joined the college. They'd only been in the college for about 3 weeks, but that's how we as an organisation, and me in my role, can partner with external organisations to develop relationships. And as a result of that, we're hoping to work with 1 or 2 of those young people in a work placement in the new year. And that's us partnering with external stakeholders as well.
So Julie Wright's put listening to our customer needs.
Yes.
Joanne Bonner has put every inch of every property that we develop is designed with the needs and wishes of the customer at the heart of it.
Fantastic. Great examples. So thank you for all of your input into how you consider the Pride values in your day-to-day work. And as we move into Advance's next half century, I would ask that you continue to reflect and consider our values in all that you do, and to continue as well to nominate people for Pride Awards. And I'd like to conclude the session with this image. Everything visible above the ground in the image that you see in the tree can be likened to our culture, including our practices, unspoken norms, history, and overall impact. And similar to a tree that changes with the seasons, our organisational culture is dynamic and ever-changing. What is not visible in this image are the tree roots, which are vital for the tree's health, much like the culture within our organisation. These roots symbolise our values, expectation and behaviours. And as we move into the second part of this financial year, I'll be thinking about how we can focus on better defining the expectations and behaviours that will help further integrate and strengthen our values in all aspects of our organisation. Thank you for joining this session today, and I hope you're able to attend more of the conference sessions later today and tomorrow. The next session is at 11:30 and it's Active H, introducing the new housing management system. Have a great rest of the week. And if anyone has any questions or comments on the session today, I'd be really grateful to receive them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Thank
Katie.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great day,
Thank you,
everyone.
Katie.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.